Welcome to the Blessed to Teach show. Here we are on December 30th, Sunday of almost New Year's Eve. In just a couple more days, we will be celebrating 2019. Amazing. This episode, we'll be talking about FBI using military intelligence and a bunch of QAnon news and research we'll do. We'll also jump into a Bible study on Romans 4, continuing from December 16th, where we did Romans 2 and 3. Again, this is a Blessed to Teach show. I'm your host, Rick. On December 30th here, we got a bunch of people that are jumping in now. I see somebody from Laura from Facebook Live, and I see somebody from Tulsa, Pennsylvania, Cynthia from Pennsylvania. We got, thanks, Isaac, got On the Beach from Florida. Abby Cat's here. William, thank you guys for joining us here as we're rolling in from all these platforms. And so let's dig into this right now. FBI using military intelligence. This was a new insight that I hadn't really thought through yet, but some pretty exciting things. And just to kind of give you a little bit of insight to what I learned. If you look right here and you look at the last post, which was December 22nd. So if we're in that 10 days of darkness, that would mean we're not going to need post till the 1st or the 2nd, right? And 2642 was all about the hypocrites of Chuck Schumer and Obama flip-flopping on the wall, right? Fake, fake, fake. The more you know, research for yourself. We know the more you know points to NBC, the Mockingbird Media. But hey, let's do a little bit of research here. If you're looking at wondering about Antifa, I hadn't really thought about this. I guess I really didn't. If you say, why was Antifa allowed? And you look at, instead of 2,600 drops, and you just do a research on Antifa allowed, you will see it goes down to 51. Now if I do Control F again or Command F and say Antifa allowed again and hit return, you'll see there's only two besides what's here. So there's two times he said this. The first time he said why is Antifa allowed was all the way back on the second or third day he was posting, October 31st, 2017, post 14. So Q drop 14. What's it say? It says, why is Antifa allowed to operate? And that's a deep question. That's the one I'm going to try to answer here in a second. Why? And here it is again on 1862. And this is on August 13th, 2018. And once again, he says, who controls the fake news? Why is Antifa allowed to incite violence, wear masks, make threats, use and carry weapons, and physically harm others who oppose their ideology? Why does Antifa attempt to justify such violence by labeling the challenger as alt-right or Nazi? Why does the left condone such acts of violence or call for immediate end? But the whole point is, why is Antifa allowed to incite violence and wear masks? And before that, again, way back on the 31st, the very first time we see it, we see, why is Antifa allowed to operate? Why hasn't the MB been classified as a terrorist organization? What happens if Soros-funded operations get violent and engage in domestic terrorism? All those questions, that's what we're going to dig into a little bit today. And before that, my sponsor for this episode is Rick's Natural Oil. I think you know that's such exciting. The Farm Bill finally got rid of the unjustified, completely a Schedule 1 drug, talking about hemp oil, which you take you take anything out of it that you can get high on, and hemp oil is a very good nutrient that has been very effective. If you want to see the effectiveness, just go look through my comments since I've been doing this last 3 or 4 days, and you'll see all these people are saying what this oil did for them. Right? There's a bunch of testimonials down here as well. You'll see if you go to ricksnaturaloil.com. Here's Candace and Sam and Pat and the effect they've had this natural oil. Remember, this plant absorbs 100% of the nutrients, and so you get this hemp oil out of it, and it's an incredible natural healer compared to what you would call the big pharma a lot of times. So if you're a big believer in big pharma, ignore this. But if you really want to try something for different things, try Rick's Natural Oil. And again, you can get a big discount on Blessed20 if you go down here to the very bottom and you put Blessed20 in the coupon code. You'll get a 20% discount off of what other discounts they're already offering you. So that'd be a great thing to go check out at ricksnaturaloil.com. I think I'd let you know we're doing it with my cat with a kidney protection, etc. Right? So let's dig into this. This is the most exciting thing I've seen in a while as far as just a new enlightening of the Q drops, and all about why is Antifa allowed to operate. And if you look at this, it says SOS, where the source is, check it out before asking. Here it is. This www.hqmcmarine.mil portals. So it's something I haven't had a chance to go look at in detail. There's a PDF there. But it's interesting. Military intelligence has been legally investigating on FBI's behalf. Okay, so let's link that into these other Q posts. So he talks about, first, a few old Q drops to refresh our memories. Military intelligence versus FBI, CIA, NSA. No approval or congressional oversight. Under what article can the president impose military intelligence takeover investigations for the three-letter agencies? Here's my big question. Why is Antifa allowed to operate? Military intelligence, referenced above, is the absolute biggest inside drop this board will ever receive. Now, think about that. Why Antifa plays right into the plan. How can we listen in, track and monitor American citizens, bad actors? What must we legally demonstrate in order to gain such warrants? FISA? Do we trust the FISA judges? Military intelligence? So this is a mixture of several drops. I showed you one of them, right, which is why is Antifa allowed to operate, right? And that shows up twice, all the way back on October 31st of 2017. This is a couple days after he first started dropping, and then all the way in August 30th of 2018, where he says, why is Antifa allowed to incite violence, wear masks, make threats, use and carry weapons, and physically harm others who oppose their ideology? So why are we allowing that? Why hasn't Trump come down hard on that? Well, the reason is what we're about ready to read. Now, who can we trust? Who can't we trust? We cannot trust Rosenstein, Mueller, corrupt, leaky FBI, corrupt, leaky DOJ, corrupt partisan judges. And you know my theory on Rosenstein and Mueller. No, we can't trust them, but I think they're under control and working as a double agent, basically, with the white hats and as the black hats think they're working for them, right? Who can we trust? Sessions, Huber, Horowitz, Wray, and military intelligence. So, what is everyone's role in this movie? Rosenstein signed the fourth FISA warrant application against Carter Page, against POTUS. Consider wearing a wiretap to entrap POTUS. Suggesting ousting POTUS via the 25th Amendment. Hire Mueller as special counsel to bust POTUS. Implement any policy in the DOJ that Mueller requests, right? And this really doesn't give who this Anon was. So these Anons are awesome. They do all this research for us, and they don't even identify themselves. It's wild. And so look at this. Now it says Mueller, what's his role? Dig up any dirt possible, genuine or fabricated. Genuine or fabricated, doesn't matter, on POTUS and associates. Request from Rosenstein that certain evidence that would hurt the deep state not be permitted to be shared with or pursued by DOJ FBI officials, because it would obstruct more investigation. Sessions, what's his role? Empower Horowitz to do genuine investigations of corrupt DOJ officials, except as limited by Mueller's request. Fire any official Horowitz recommends. Let Wray do his thing. Act innocent and helpless. That was part of the act, right? Horowitz, find solid evidence necessary to fire corrupt FBI DOJ officials. Pass all evidence he finds of FBI DOJ malfeasance along to Huber for eventual prosecution. What's Wray's role? Be the legal FBI anchor for military intelligence investigations. Military intelligence, do all of the investigative heavy lifting, massive resources, capabilities, 100% trustworthy, leak-proof. That's the biggest one, right? Leak-proof, right? So make them feel safe when they're being massively investigated, right? Huber, once investigations, both Horowitz and FBI military intel, are completed, he convenes grand juries, indicts in jurisdictions with favorable judges. That's why I was really suspicious of that last indictment that went out that showed Hillary and the whole Bundy thing and Comey and all these people being investigated or found, impaneled for a jury that was going to take them down from a perspective of all the Bundy and Uranium One stuff, right? It was in the District of New York. I don't think that's where they're going to be filing these. I really don't think it's going to be in the heavily Democratic-oriented states that have a lot of corruption in them, right? But anyway, so he convenes grand juries, indicts in jurisdictions with favorable judges, and again, the ones that believe in the Constitution, and oversees prosecution of all cases that will be tried in civilian courts. Tribunals will be saved for the traitors and the cases where evidence had to be collected in unconstitutional ways. Now, Whitaker's role is to take oversight of Mueller's investigation so that, one, he could make Mueller recommend no jail time for Flynn, and number two, he could nullify Rosenstein's request that certain evidence that hurts the deep state isn't shared, pursued by the DOJ. Interesting insight here. I want to come back to this. The tribunals will be saved for the traitors and the cases where evidence had to be collected in unconstitutional ways. And this is interesting because that is true, that in a tribunal you can use all the evidence no matter how it was actually captured, right? And that's why a lot of these wealthy people can get out of by a little process crime, and that they're so wealthy that they can get out of crimes that they're really guilty of. This tribunals won't allow that to happen nearly as much. Tribunals also, because of the Patriot Act and other EOs, will allow that to be done for people that are what? Treasonous, right? So for traitors and treason, then it allows a lot more flexibility to be able to use that evidence as well. So Whitaker, again, one, he couldn't make Mueller recommend, so he could make Mueller recommend no jail time for Flynn, and he could nullify Mueller or Rosenstein's request that certain evidence that hurts the deep state isn't shared, pursued by the DOJ. I think this was done way before Whitaker. I just wanted to kind of say that's my personal opinion. But even if I'm wrong, they're now getting it, right? There's tons of information I believe Mueller dug up that's bad for Hillary that he was either providing all along or he was hiding and now has to give it up. So this is the part 2 of this. It says, the story, our Justice Department FBI is corrupt and cannot be trusted to fairly investigate, prosecute the traitors, let alone themselves. Horowitz and Sessions have been cleaning the place up a bit, but the Mueller-Rosenstein team is really the last remaining vestige of corruption that is difficult to remove without rioting in the streets. Mueller and Rosenstein have effectively crippled the DOJ, FBI from pursuing the traitors. So FBI Director Wray took a better route, using military intelligence to conduct the investigations. And here's my big insight. Military intelligence largely doesn't play a role in investigating U.S. persons. However, they legally can collect, produce, and disseminate intelligence on a U.S. person on U.S. soil under the following circumstances. 1, it involves a domestic disturbance. Think, why is Antifa allowed to operate? So I kind of always ignored that. I was going, well, I just think that maybe we don't have the power to do anything is what I was thinking probably back then. But now it's clear. It's like, wow, now that is some new insight that I hadn't really thought through. And so anyway, that is really cool to me, is to just think that the why Antifa is out, maybe a strategic reason why they allow it to operate. So while Soros is thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to start to cause all these disruptions, and now Trump and the White Hats are using that very thing that he's doing to try to disrupt everything as an excuse to use massive military intelligence operations to investigate against him and his comrades, right? So anyone with even the remote connection to Antifa can be scooped up in this category. So that expands it quite a bit, probably. A second way that the military intelligence can actually conduct intelligence and disseminate on U.S. persons on U.S. soil under the following circumstances is that intelligence relates to the activities of foreign powers, organizations, persons, and the agents. So if the intelligence has any relations to a foreign person, organization, or government, military intelligence is cleared to do the work. And we see a lot of that, obviously, with Uranium One working with Canada and Russia and with other entities, and obviously all the selling our special access programs. All those things are going to open up that to military intelligence. 3, in absence of any foreign involvement, they may do so only in coordination with the FBI, which has primary responsibility for intelligence collection within the United States. So basically military intelligence can investigate U.S. persons domestically as long as it involves a disturbance, involves a foreigner, or the FBI signs off on it. Trust Ray. So basically they can use military intelligence for anybody as long as the FBI is in control. So this is why Ray went to all 53 field offices, cleaned house, probably making sure that they're fully working, not only being clean there, but also working with the military. So that's quite exciting if you think about it. Now, so military intelligence has been doing all the investigative work with Ray's blessing. Once military intelligence was largely completed with their investigations, Sessions resigned so that Whitaker could take over Mueller's oversight. Upon taking over Mueller for Rosenstein, Whitaker ripped up the directives for FBI DOJ not to pursue certain lines of evidence, Clinton Foundation, etc. Therefore, military intelligence could feed their evidence back into the FBI, which could hand it over to Huber. So what's next? Number 1, Mueller finally issues his report. 2, POTUS declass of FISA shows the whole Mueller investigation was a scam. Number 3, Huber begins indictments in friendly jurisdictions. I think he's already done this in many cases. All the sealed indictments, right? Number 4, military. So I'm hoping that means he starts to unseal them is what he's meaning here. 4, military tribunals formed for cases that don't go before civilian courts. 5, POTUS nominates persons to all the vacated positions, and they get immediately confirmed by the Senate 53-47. 6, the Democratic Party is destroyed irreparably. Now you know the plan. I thought that was just a great drop if you look at just the fact that, wow. And again, back to these questions that I really never really answered to myself is, why is Antifa allowed to incite violence, wear masks, make threats? Why is Antifa allowed to operate way back from October 31st of 2017? Wow. I mean, sources funding something that's actually being used to justify military intelligence. So I just think that's so funny. It's like, gotcha. Gotcha. So here's some other news. Incarnate ET on his Twitter says, and just so you know, 8chan was down for 17 hours. 17 being a key number, obviously, the 17th letter of the alphabet being Q. Probably saw my dog walking behind me there. He's a big boy. Here's something I wanted to get to listen to. It's 45 seconds, but just sad. This is that brother of the cop that got shot by the illegal alien.
But there's a lot of people out there that misses him. And a lot of law enforcement people that I don't know that work days and nights to make this happen. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart to make this happen. I wish I could thank all the law enforcement agencies, Homeland Security in San Francisco, everyone, Bakersfield too. I was waiting for this to happen. I'd like to thank you, working day and night to make this happen. Thank you.
Wow. This person is basically saying, good luck trying to watch Officer Singh's brother break down here without crying. Keep the darn government shut down. Let this be an example of how badly Democrats are fighting against the wall and how they continue supporting sanctuary cities no matter how many needlessly die. Sad stuff there, no question about it. This is crazy. Look at this. CNN runs a segment on how Trump's use of witch hunt offends witches. Now, how low can you get as a Mockingbird media, a propaganda arm of the deep state, where you literally try to talk to Trump about how you're offending witches because he's calling something a witch hunt? Wow. Just amazing to me to see how this can happen. The truth would put 99% of people in the hospital. So this person is like contemplating, is it more than what we already know? And I just think it's all the pedophilia and torturing of children is what I think that is all. If you really look at the details of that gets horrific. This person said it could have even something more than that. And this person's just saying that pedivore stuff alone is pretty horrifying, right? And so I think that majority of the population, that's what they would get so upset that they couldn't sleep at night, right? Or would put them in the hospital, right? Because it would be just so shocking to see what some of these evil people can do to other people. This person talks about the justice system is the cause of all the crime. He's a cop. And he's basically saying that the more crime there is, the more people need you, and the more profitable it is as an entity, the more careers are there. So these bigger cities like a lot of crime. That's kind of scary to think about. I hadn't really thought through that. 2018 will be glorious, not a shill, just venting. So this person's mad that there hasn't been as much in 2018 as happened. And I'm sure a lot of us, our expectations may have been higher. But if we just think that back to 2018, in my opinion, it was glorious. I mean, just think about the tables have completely turned. If you're a Trump hater with Trump delusion, you cannot believe he still has a high approval rating, right? Despite all the attacks and everything they've done to try to kill him, to knock him off, right? But this, so I think this person's right. Future proofs Spraff. Your opinion of 2018 could change once we find out all what has been going on that is not being reported. I understand your frustration. However, Q never said that 2018 would be glorious during 2018, right? So a lot of the stuff that's been going on, and we had a lot of great stuff. The pedophiles being arrested. You had the Me Too Weinstein. We had resignations of a lot of people. We secured the Senate. We got 2 Supreme Court justices in, right? Those are some pretty awesome things in my opinion. So I wanted people to not be awake from that. Let's see here. Trump orders freeze on non-military federal workers' pay. So that's going to be real interesting. That's going to save us some budget money, I guess. That's one thing. But boy, I'm sure the people that's affecting it's not real happy. Let's look at this here. Q research back up. Oh darn! It looks like my connection went bad again. Hate it when that happens. Buffering only. I am live. Got virtual shield going on. I'm going to have an upgraded router on the 30th. So I'm gonna actually come right back on in about 5 minutes after I reboot the router, guys. Sorry about that.